Jai Hind and welcome to all. Today in this lecture I will discuss the fuels, and this topic contains following part. First, classification of fuel, characteristics, and then determination of calorific value, calculation of air needed for combustion, and analysis of coal. So, we will discuss point wise. So, in this slide I will discuss mainly two part, classification of fuel and characteristics of fuel. I take the help to make the slides from two books, Engineering Chemistry by Jain and Jain and Engineering Chemistry by Shashi Chawla. So, let us first we take what is the fuel and what is its classification. Any combustible substance which on burning in presence of air produce large amount of heat that can be used economically for domestic or industrial purposes are called fuels. So, we can say any compound which have carbon as a major constituent and which on combustion produce large amount of heat. So, which type of reaction basically occur? The substance which contain carbon in presence of oxygen produce carbon dioxide and heat. So, we can say that oxidation, during oxidation the carbon produce CO2 and the compound which produce CO2 on burning, they are termed as a fuel. But it is not necessary that all oxidations are combustion, although in each and every combustion the oxidation reaction occur. So, fuel means carbon containing compound. Now, classification. The fuels can be classified on the basis of two factors. First is on the basis of their occurrence and second is on the basis of their physical state or state of aggregation. So, let us first we take on the basis of its occurrence. The fuels means basically which produce heat. So, the fuels which contain carbon, they are basically primary fuels means the fuels which can be directly used as such, like wood, like peat, like dung or etc. But if primary fuels are used to produce or to modified in another form, they are termed as a secondary fuels. So, we can say that secondary fuels are basically produced by removing impurities of the primary fuels. So, we can easily differentiate, that is we can the fuels which we can use directly as such, they are termed as a primary fuels, or which are basically made by some after modification, they are termed as secondary fuels. And secondary fuel means like anthracite, like petrol, diesel or etc. As crude oil. Crude oil is basically which is found under the earth crust. So, it is a primary fuel, but after fractional distillation we get different type of liquids at different temperatures, like petrol, like diesel, like kerosene etc. So, these are termed as secondary fuels. Now, second is on the basis of physical state. On the basis of this, they are classified in solid category, liquid category and in gases category. So, if we take a basically classification, then solid, liquid, gas, and here we take primary and here we take secondary. Primary we can say natural and secondary we can say artificial. So, solid natural primary fuel is wood, peat, dung, etc., while the secondary is charcoal, coal and different varieties of coal like anthracite, bituminous, this. Now, comes to liquid. Liquid primary fuel is a crude oil and liquid secondary fuel is the fractions which are obtained by fractional distillation like petrol, diesel or etc. Gases primary fuel. Gases primary fuel is marsh gas, CH4 methane, natural gas, while the gases secondary fuel is LPG, CNG, coal gas, coal gas, biogas, oil gas, etc. Now, characteristics of good fuel. Fuel means as it is clear that the substance which produce large amount of heat on combustion. So, the basic characteristic is calorific value, because calorific value directly depends on carbon content and the substance which contain higher amount of carbon will produce large amount of heat. So, if the substance or fuel produce large amount of heat, that is it has high calorific value, then it is characterized as a good fuel. Second is moderate ignition temperature. Ignition temperature, we know that the fuel it can't be burned till it is preheated. So, it is the minimum temperature so that the fuel is preheated and it burns, then it start burning. So, the ideal fuel it must have moderate ignition temperature. Moderate means it should be controlled. Third is low moisture content. Moisture is directly proportional to smoke or water content, and ideally the good fuel it must contain minimum amount of moisture content. Non-combustible matter, especially ash. So, good fuel must have low content non-combustible matter like nitrogen. We know that nitrogen it does not take participate in combustion. So, the fuel had contain higher content of nitrogen, it means it is not good fuel because it does not help in burning, while carbon it directly helps in burning. So, it is if fuel contain higher content of carbon, it is good fuel. Moderate rate of combustion, it should be, because fuel is used for domestic purpose as well as for industrial purpose. So, domestically if we use domestically or if we use for in engine, then it's basically its rate of combustion should be controlled and moderate. Minimum smoke, we can say moisture, directly linked with moisture, and non-poisonous gases, or obviously it should be pollution free. Low in cost, it should be easy transportation. Basically transportation cost adds in cost of fuel. So, the transportation of fuel should be easiest. Controllable combustion, non-spontaneous combustion and low storage cost. Now, if we compare the solid liquid gases on the basis of following points, and then we basically we find which type of fuel is best. First is calorific value. Calorific value is amount of heat liberated on the combustion of fuel. Solid fuel we can take wood, we can take coal. Liquid fuel we can take petrol, diesel. In gases fuel we can take gases like LPG, like oil gas, biogas or etc. So, first if we compare on the basis of calorific value, the solid fuel has least calorific value because it contained another part like ash, moisture may be there. The calorific value of liquid fuel is quite high and the calorific value of gaseous fuel is highest. Now, second is heat efficiency, same for solid fuel is least, and if we take the increasing order, the heat efficiency of gaseous fuel is much higher than liquid and solid fuels. Third is storage. Solid fuel can be stored anywhere, so it is easy to store. For liquid fuels, containers are required, and gaseous fuel one time installation is there, and after this they can be basically supplied by the pipe. So, pipelines are required. Risk towards fire hazards. Although the combustion in solid fuel may be spontaneous, but if we take risk, then less, liquid fuel more, and in gaseous fuel if there is any leakage, then high risk are there, since the liquid gaseous fuels are highly inflammable. Combustion rate and control. Solid fuel combustion rate is quite slow, so slow process and can't be controlled. Liquid fuel fast process, so used in engines, ICE engines, and in gaseous fuel very rapid, but can be controlled by the knobs. So, combustion control may be there, so can't be controlled, and but they can be controlled by regulating the supply of the air. Handling cost. In solid fuel, handling cost is high because extra expenditure for storage and for transport, we require truck or some other transportation part. For liquid fuel, it is quite low, so because the fuel can be transported through pipes, and in gaseous fuel, we know, as we discussed, that one time installation cost is there, otherwise it is low handling cost because they can be transported through the pipelines. Ash, in case of gaseous fuel there is no problem, in case of liquid fuel there is no problem of ash, but in case of solid fuel ash may be produced. So, there is another problem for its disposal, and it is basically drainage. The smoke, in gaseous fuel smoke is not produced, in liquid fuel again we can say not produced, but if aromatic fuel is there they may produce smoke, while in solid fuels smoke is produced. So, if we take this, the main important characteristic of fuel is calorific value. So, we discuss what is the calorific value, what are the types of calorific value, and how we calculate the calorific value. So, calorific value, the calorific value of fuel is defined as quantity of heat, amount of heat expressed in calories, kilocalories, liberated by complete combustion of unit mass. If solid, then we can say unit weight, if liquid, then we can say in liter or in volume of fuel in presence of air or oxygen with subsequent cooling of the products of combustion to the initial temperature of the fuel. So, in crude language we can say the amount of heat liberated by the combustion of unit mass of fuel. So, this is the basically calorific value, and calorific value they have different units, but the common units are calorie and joule. So, first is calorie. Calorie is the energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram water through 1 degree centigrade. And we know that, which is equal to 4.2 or 4.1868 joules. Now, kilocalorie, same amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of 1, instead of this 1 gram, 1000 gram of water. So, 1 kilocalorie is equal to 1000 calorie. Third is British thermal unit. It is the traditional unit, and which is about equal to 1055 joule, and the definition is amount of energy needed to cool or heat 1 pound of water through 1 degree Fahrenheit. We know that there are basically temperature can be expressed in degree Fahrenheit and degree centigrade. F minus 32 upon 9 is equal to C by 5. So, 1 British thermal unit is equal to 252 calorie, which is equal to 0.252 kilocalorie. Fourth unit is CHU, centigrade heat unit. Again, it is the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 pound of water, but through 1 degree centigrade. In British thermal unit, 1 degree Fahrenheit, while in centigrade heat unit, 1 centigrade. So, 1 kilocalorie is equal to 3.968 British thermal unit, which is equal to 2.2 CHU. This is the basically conversion factor. If examiner asks to convert this unit in British thermal unit, then we can use this. Now, the types of calorific value. Calorific value basically they are defined, or they are of two types. First is gross calorific value and second is net calorific value. And the basic difference in gross calorific value and net calorific value is, suppose we boil the water and the container, and we covered the container with lid. During boiling or during heating, the products of combustion are not allowed to escape out. That is, the latent heat of steam, or we can say the latent heat of condensate product, is basically added in calorific value. So, this type of calorific value is termed as a gross calorific value. We can correlate this with gross salary. Suppose our salary is 1 lakh, total salary. So, it is the gross, but after deduction of some points like TDS or some other factor, we get 70,000 salary. So, this is the net calorific net value. So, if the products of combustion are not allowed to escape out, so the amount of heat is termed as gross calorific value. And if the combustion products are allowed to escape out, that is, they are not added in the calculated value, then this is termed as a net calorific net value. So, we can say the gross calorific value means higher calorific value, GCV or HCV, gross or high. It is the quantity of heat liberated by complete combustion of unit mass or unit weight of fuel with subsequent cooling of products of combustion to the initial temperature of the fuel. Under normal working conditions, the water vapors produced during combustion and they are not condensed, that is, they are allowed to escape out, then the amount of calculated value will be termed as net calorific value. So, the net calorific value, that is low calorific value, NCV or LCV, is the heat produced when unit mass of fuel is burned completely and the products of combustion are allowed to escape out. So, the basic difference in GCV and NCV is latent heat of condensation product or steam, we can say. And the calorific value of fuel depends upon, first, which type of fuel is there, that is nature of fuel, and second the relative proportions. Relative proportion means how much carbon content, how much hydrogen content or etc. So, relative proportion of the elements. So, it is clear that in the basic difference in GCV and NCV, that GCV is equal to NCV plus latent heat of steam, condensed steam, and that is why GCV is always higher than NCV, because some vaporization products are also there. So, if we want to calculate NCV, then we see that if hydrogen is there, so what will be the reaction? H2 plus half O2, which will give you H2O. That is 2 part of hydrogen is equivalent to half part of O2 is equivalent to H2O. If we take in terms of weight, then 2 parts of H is equal to 16, O16. So, O2 is 32, 32 by 2 is 16. So, 2 part of H is equivalent to 16 parts of O is equivalent to 16 plus 2, that is 18 parts. It means 1 part of H is equal to 8 parts of O and is equivalent to 9 parts of H2O. So, from this equation it is clear that 1 part of hydrogen H produce 9 part of H2O, and if H percentage is there, so how much H2O vapor get produced? 9 into H. So, let H is the percentage of hydrogen in the fuel. So, the amount of water produced by burning unit mass of fuel is equal to 9H upon 100. If percentage is amount is there, then we can put directly. If percentage is there, then by 100. And if the latent heat of steam is 587, if it is not given, we can put this value 587, and suppose if it is given like 580, then we put the value which is given in the question. So, latent heat of steam is equal to 587 calorie per gram. So, the GCV is equal to NCV plus 9, 1 is equivalent to 9 into hydrogen is there, percentage given to H by 100 into latent heat of steam, and if latent heat of steam is given, very good, otherwise we can put 587. So, GCV is equal to NCV plus 9 into H upon 100 into 587, and if the H is given in percentage, then 9 by 100 means 0.09, that is 0.09 into this. Now, determination of calorific value. Before this determination of calorific value, then it should be clear that GCV is equal to NCV plus 9 into H by 100 into latent heat of steam. Now, determination, there are various methods, but as per syllabus we will discuss only 2 methods. First is experimental method, which is a bomb calorimeter, and second theoretical method, which is by Dulong formula. So, in this slide we take the Dulong formula and one numerical based on this. So, calorific value can be determined if we want to calculate theoretically, that it can be determined by Dulong formula. And basically we know that approximately value can be found by the maximum calorific value of the carbon and hydrogen and sulfur. So, Dulong formula basically correlate these values. For a fuel having carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and sulfur, the calorific value of fuel is calculated by Dulong formula. If both oxygen and hydrogen are present, it may be assumed that if oxygen is present, then it will be combined with the hydrogen, and we can say the hydrogen basically equivalent 1/8 of its weight of hydrogen to form water. So, the total amount of hydrogen is equal to hydrogen present minus hydrogen present in fixed form, and hydrogen present in fixed form means if total hydrogen, and present in fixed form means O/8, H2 plus half O2 H2O, and in water if we see that 2 part of hydrogen is combined, it is present with 16 part of oxygen, that is 1 part of hydrogen is attached with 8 part of oxygen. So, simple, if we read this, they are combined, oxygen is combined with 1/8 of its weight of hydrogen. So, hydrogen present H, and in fixed amount it is present in O/8. So, the total hydrogen will be H minus O/8. Now, DeLong formula, if we see the calorific value, and if calorific value is given, it means higher calorific value is there. So, it is equal to 1/100. 1/100 basically percentage we take by 100 and take it common. So, 1/100 is there. 8080 C. 8080 is the maximum calorific value of carbon. So, we learn this formula. 8080 C, C is the percentage of carbon, plus 34500, 34,500 H minus O/8, total amount of H, and H which is present minus which is present in fixed form, which is O minus O/8. So, H minus O/8 plus 2240 S. S is the percentage of sulfur and O percentage of oxygen. If beside this nitrogen ash is given, no need to put this value because there is no nitrogen or ash, and these are non-combustible matter, and non-combustible matter does not contribute in calorific value. So, this is the DeLong formula for GCV. 1/100 8080 C plus 34500 H minus O/8 plus 2240 S sulfur kilocalorie per kg, or we can write calorie per gram. Now, let us take this numerical, and this DeLong formula is basically, it is a theoretical formula or theoretical concept. If some experiment is given, then we do not apply this formula. The question is, a sample of coal contains C 85%, H 8%, S 1%, nitrogen no need to because it is non-combustible, ash no need, again it is non-combustible. So, calculate GCV and NCV, and latent heat is given. Nothing experiment is there. So, we apply DeLong formula, and DeLong formula is GCV is equal to 1/100. 1/100 is basically percentage simplify factor 8080 C, and percentage of C is 85, by 100 is taken common. So, 85 plus 34500, 34500 H, the percentage of sulfur is 8 minus O/8, oxygen. Now, if oxygen is not given, we can see carbon 85 plus 8 hydrogen, 85 plus 8 is 93, plus 1 94, plus 2 96, and plus 400. It means 100% is given. So, oxygen percentage is 0. And suppose total is not 100, total is suppose 98, then oxygen will be 100 minus 98, which is equal to 2. But in this question, if we add all percentage and we got 100, so the oxygen is 100 minus 100, which is 0. So, 0 by 8 plus 2240 sulfur. The percentage of sulfur is 1 into 1, this. So, 1 by 100, 8080 into 85, which is 686800 plus 34500 into 8, because this value it is 0, which is 276000 plus 2240 kilocalorie per kg. 1 by 100, total is 965040 and which is 9650.4. So, the GCV of this fuel which contain following composition is 9650.4. Now, for NCV, we know that the basic difference in GCV and NCV is the latent heat of condensation of products, heat product, that is steam. So, GCV minus 9 into H is 8 by 100 into 587 and which is 9227.8. So, the NCV is 9227.8 and GCV, it should be always greater than NCV. So, it's clear. And in next lecture, I will discuss or continue the determination method of calorific value by Bohm calorimeter. Thank you.